Hi there, welcome to my channel. I'm Holly and this channel is all about my exploration of the world of graphic novels, sci-fi, and fantasy. Alright, so up to this point I have read origin or beginner stories on some of the heavy hitters of the DC universe like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and The Flash. And now, apparently, according to my son, I get to graduate a little bit. I feel like I am going a little bit beyond kindergarten. Apparently, I now possess the knowledge to be able to read and enjoy Kingdom Come. And I have to tell you, it better be good because my family has so hyped this. And so my expectations are pretty high. So Kingdom Come by Mark Waid and Alex Ross is divided into 4 books, and I will be talking about book 1 in this video. Alright, so when I started looking at the front cover, I noticed that it's from the Elseworld series, and I was thinking, yay, this is going to be really great because I know what this is. I know what Elseworlds is. I actually know something, and it's because I've already read something from this series. It was Superman Speeding Bullets, which I absolutely loved. So I'm thinking, okay, how are they going to mess with our world here? You know, Elseworlds is a what-if series. What if the world was this way instead of how it actually is? It's a fantasy world within a fantasy world. So I opened the front cover and I realized, oh my gosh, we might be talking end times here. Is this going to be Armageddon? And if it is, then I'm already hooked. So the beginning, the artwork is very dark and foreboding. And it's all hellfire and brimstone. You've got rain, hail, and blood raining down. And an angel appears and says, woe to the inhabitants of the earth. And the angel doesn't use just woe one time. No, it's woe, woe, woe. So I think it's going to be pretty serious here. So we are in a hospital setting and we're introduced to Wesley Dodds and Norman McKay. Now, Wesley, poor thing, is on his deathbed, and Norman is his pastor. And Wesley is just begging him to listen to him. He's been having these terrible visions of a horrific future. And he's saying, somebody has got to do something to stop this. The end times are near and here. And, you know, Norman has a very patronizing, almost condescending response to him, which is, there. These are just nightmares that you're having. We've talked about this. And you know what I find is so interesting? That's actually a very normal response. But you know, we have preachers and pastors who sermonize in their churches about the great prophets from the Bible. And yet when one of their own congregants comes to them and says, hey, I've got these visions, their automatic response is that the person is delusional and maybe even certifiable. Now, I just want to say that I am really enjoying the narrative style of this story. You know, all of this is coming from the point of view of Norman McKay, and you get narration, then scene, narration, scene. It's almost set up like a movie, and in fact, actually, the movie that popped into my head was A Christmas Story, because you've got adult Ralphie giving a lot of narration prior to a scene, and I just really enjoy that style of storytelling. Speaking of which, if you enjoy this content, I ask that you take a moment to hit the like button, subscribe, share, and stick around for the rest of the video. The superheroes we know and love are gone. They've been replaced by the children and grandchildren of the superheroes. And it's not as if these superheroes were aging out and were just passing on the torch. No, these children and grandchildren are horrifying. They're terrible. They have claimed that they have vanquished all of the villains. So they've decided, let's just fight each other. And I'm thinking, this is terrible. What, are they bored? Has life just become too boring for them so that they can't live in peace and, use their powers for good? Nope, they've just got to fight each other. And I'm thinking, if you are so bored, please come to my house, because I have got a very long list of chores and errands that I would love to have them do and get them out of their boredom. They sound like spoiled, rotten children. Are they the ones to cause the end of humanity? And where are all of our superheroes to come and straighten them out? All right, back to Norman McKay. Now, poor thing, apparently Wesley's visions, once Wesley passed away, he passed on his visions to Norman. And Norman is approached by an angel. Well, at least I think it was an angel. Norman does ask him, hey, are you an angel? And he says, sorta, kinda. Now the angel tells Norman, hey, I was actually coming for Wesley, but I didn't get here in time. And he has passed his visions on to you, so congratulations, you're it. We are going to use your visions as our guide to let us know what things are going to occur to kick off Armageddon. Then all of a sudden, poof, they're in Kansas. And they are seeing a much older Clark Kent working on his farm. Okay, you know what is so wild is seeing Clark Kent as an older person. I didn't even think about our superheroes really aging, and so it was a lot of fun to see him, and I think that the artist did a phenomenal job of how he would potentially look 30 years older. It almost reminded me, the FBI wanted signs, particularly for people who've been on the run for decades, and they'll have an actual picture of what the person looked like, maybe in their early 20s, and then you get, here's what we think he looks like now, and it'll be computer generated, or an artist will draw, here's how we imagine he looks 30 years later. It was kind of like that, but a lot better. This artist should be doing the wanted signs. Anyway, so then we see Wonder Woman come in, Diana. She's there on the farm to talk to Clark. And really what she's trying to do is to get him out of seclusion, to get him to come and take care of this situation that has completely gotten out of control. And the thing is, we find out that Clark retired 10 years earlier after a trial. And I was thinking, what's this trial? Was he a reporter? Was he a witness? Was he a defendant? Or did something just absolutely traumatic happen at this trial that would make him kind of walk away? And so Diana is telling him he's out of control. Now, I don't know who he is yet, but Clark said, hey, I warned you guys 10 years ago that this was going to happen. And Diana says, it's really bad. Come have a look. And so they go into this area where Clark has a big bank of televisions, and they cut them all on, and you're just seeing news from all over the world. And it's terrible. Apparently, this character named Magog, which, by the way, interesting, we see Magog, that name, appear a couple of times in the Bible, particularly in Revelation. Now, Magog in Revelation is more of a metaphor, kind of an enemy of God. But anyway, you see Magog, and he was just beating the crud out of this character named Parasite. And Parasite is figuratively waving the white flag. He is surrendering. He's begging for mercy. He is giving up. And Magog doesn't give a rip. He's sadistic. And he is like the leader of the Justice Battalion. And then this other character, Captain Adam, swoops in. And, Parasite just really doesn't have any choice. He's desperate. He's obviously trying to save his own life. And so on the TV screens, right for the whole world to see, he splits Captain Adam in two. And yes, it's gross, but I have to say this is my favorite part of the story. And so what happens when we split an atom? Oh yeah. Captain Adam's radioactive energy just completely wipes out the area. We're talking, it now starts a world famine. I mean, he's just essentially wiped out the breadbasket here. And there are at least 1 million casualties. And to be honest, I'm surprised there weren't more than that. So, Clark is seeing all of this. And I was thinking he would be right on it, like, oh my gosh, Diana, I am so glad you came. Let's get everybody together and, save the world. But he's so nonchalant, and it just falls on deaf ears. And he's like, nothing I can do about it from here. Go home, Diana. You'll be safe. And I'm in shock because this is not any way that I would expect him to react. And so it's making me think, this trial, what in the world happened? And did it have something to do with Magog? And did he just finally give up on humanity and say, I'm leaving you to your own devices? That's kind of how it feels. In another video, I had talked about how hard it would be being a superhero 24/7, and that eventually someone would have to burn out or crack up or something. And I had placed my bets on Batman, but is it Superman? And so at this point, I'm freaking out, and so is Norman. And he's saying to the angel, that's it? Are you telling me there's no hope? And he's realizing that the new heroes are not acting out of boredom. They're acting with abandon, and they're taking their lead from Magog. And is there just no way to get Superman back in the game? Now, I am thinking that Diana may have actually slightly convinced him, because at the very end of book 1, we see this commotion and in the sky, and we see people looking up, and they are rejoicing because it's Superman, and they're saying he didn't abandon us. He's come to save us. Well, let me tell you something. You get this one panel of Superman just essentially giving this primal scream, and he doesn't look anything like I've seen him in the couple of things that I've read. This is frightening. He looks ticked off. Like, hey, I was living my life. I was having fun on the farm. What are y'all bringing me back to? And in fact, if I had seen that, I probably would have gotten the heck out of Dodge. But right now, everybody's very, very excited. They think they're going to be saved. And at the end of book 1, it lets us know, oh, this isn't the end. This is just the beginning. And I'm thinking, oh Lord, is Superman the problem? Is he going to screw up humanity? And so I'm going to wrap this up here. I have to tell you, it ends on a cliffhanger. And so I really like that these books, that this whole book has been divided into 4. And it does end in such a way that it makes you want to go immediately to the second book to see, how does this play out? And so I'm going to go ahead and say, looking forward to reading it and sharing it with you. All right, I'm out of here, but please stay tuned. I'll be right back.